Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Bastards.
What's good, guys? It's your boy SilliStank, and we are here with a Christmas special 2025, bro. I'm getting old. I turned 16 in 4 months. Damn. Maybe I should grow out my beard or something.
Hey, baby mamas.
Nah, who am I kidding? Today, we're gonna be reacting to like some scary Christmas short films, whatever I could find on YouTube. Whatever I could get my grimy little hands on, bro. So let's do it. Like and subscribe. Alright, here we have 3 scary true Christmas horror stories by Mr. Nightmare.
You push limits in the gym, on the
Christmas horror stories.
When I was newly single after my 2-year relationship ended, I was back to living alone again, and back to swiping on Tinder and all those apps. I had been single for a few months already, and I had met a few people in that time. During that time, I matched a girl on Tinder named Tracy, and she gave me her Snapchat, but it quickly fizzled out to her just watching my stories and not really communicating.
Okay,
that
Tracy.
Used to happen all the time when I was in college. But now being in my late 20s, using Tinder, and just being reminded of how immature all this online dating stuff is, it feels a lot different at this age. I posted something on my Snap story that had to do with Christmas, and guess who commented on my story?
Tracy.
It was that Tracy girl who I hadn't spoken to in weeks. She struck up a conversation about us doing some Christmas-themed stuff together, and from there we started chatting for a bit. I suggested the most festive things I could think of. Ice skating, going to the village, and looking at the decorations, but she suggested we decorate my Christmas tree. Firstly,
Damn.
I did have a fake tree, but
First date and she trying to come into my house and decorate my Christmas tree?
so I told her I didn't have it up yet because it's kind of a 2-person job getting it out of the attic.
And she's like,
She
I
said
can
she'd
help
gladly
you.
Come over and help.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I
Come
figured,
over,
why not?
shorty. Come over,
I told
shorty.
her to come over around 9 that night. It was already dark at that point when we made the plan. It was likely like 7:30 because I remember hurriedly grabbing my keys and rushing to drive to the liquor store to buy a couple bottles of wine. When I got back to the house, I vacuumed and swept the floors. Around 9:30, when she said she's outside. She came inside, and I was shocked to find that I was looking up at her. She was a couple inches taller than me. I'm 5'10", so she had to be at least 6 feet tall. I also immediately picked up on the fact that she smelled like she was drenched in perfume. We went straight to the couch and sat down.
Sounds like my type. Tracy, you get in here, girl.
And underneath that overpowering smell of cheap-smelling perfume, I couldn't help but feel like there was a slight hint of body odor, which completely turned me off.
Girl,
I asked her if she
go
wanted
clean
one,
up.
and she said yes, please. So I went and poured a couple glasses as we talked. Have you ever met someone for the first time that you've been texting or DMing for a while, and when you finally meet, they just end up being nothing like you pictured in your head? That was pretty much this. Something about her felt off, like she lacked certain social cues. I handed her a glass of Merlot, and we cheers each other. I shit you not, she almost immediately spilled a huge drop of red wine on my light blue couch.
Bitch!
I ran back to the couch and blotted it as quickly as I could before it would settle. She kept apologizing, and I kept saying it was okay. After this, it got a little more tense, and to break the tension, I suggested I get the tree out of the attic. So I went up to the attic, slid over the giant box with all the tree parts in it, and started handing her down the pieces one by one, each piece getting bigger until we got to the biggest part, the part that I wouldn't be able to handle going down the ladder on my own. She grabbed it with ease. I had to remember this girl's size. Once everything was handed down, I went back down and we assembled the tree in the living room with Christmas music playing. I poured her more wine and I drank more myself. I loosened up a bit more. Wine makes any situation feel better. Once we had the tree set up, next was the ornaments.
I like the way you handle that tree, girl. I'm trying to see if you can handle me that way.
Yo, what the fuck, bro?
I told her my ornaments were all in the crawl space. These ornaments were all from my childhood. My parents gave me bins and bins of Christmas decorations. So I went down to the crawl space and one by one started taking out the bins, while I left Tracy in the living room to relax. As I was doing all of this, I started feeling woozy, like the wine was getting to my head. I've never been a heavy drinker, so I do have a low tolerance, but I felt like I hadn't drank that much to feel this way. I grabbed the first bin and started lugging it up the stairs. By the time I got to the top, Tracy wasn't anywhere in sight. I assumed she was in the bathroom at first and called her name. I
Tracy!
looked around each room and then saw that the bathroom was empty. I scratched my head in confusion as I kept calling her name.
Tracy, where
I went
are
to
you,
message her
girl?
on Snap, but she never opened the Snap. I checked the 2 bedrooms too, but she was gone. I couldn't believe this. She snuck out on me. This was when I started wondering if she thought I was ugly or weird or something, even though truthfully, I wasn't even really into her either. I crashed onto the couch, which suddenly felt a lot more comfortable than before, and honestly, as far as I remember, I periodically checked my phone to see if she opened my Snap, and just watched whatever was on TV, until my memory just faded to black. I swear, everything just went black. And then, I woke up in darkness. No lights, no TV on. I looked around in the dark room, and I knew I was hearing things. I felt like I was still on the couch, and I felt weak. My limbs were hard to move, but I managed to find my phone right under me within seconds, and I checked the time. The second the phone screen lit up, I saw it. Even though the light was facing toward me, that glow from my phone screen with the brightness all the way up revealed the outline of a tall person's silhouette standing in front of me. For some reason, I didn't scream. I just put the phone down, bringing the room back to darkness. I finally opened my mouth to say Tracy, hoping it was her, but still not in that moment remembering what had happened earlier. Whoever was standing there didn't answer me. I eventually picked my phone back up and turned on the flashlight, and I saw that it was in fact Tracy standing in front of me. She wasn't moving, she was just looking down at me. I felt locked to the couch. I don't know if it was because of pure fear or the effects of whatever she had obviously laced me with. I genuinely was having a hard time moving my limbs. I felt weak and helpless. All I could manage to say was Tracy a couple more times.
Tracy!
She turned towards the stairs. And again, I swear, she sprinted toward them, and all I heard were the disturbingly loud stomps of her running down the stairs.
Damn, girl!
I heard something slam from downstairs. Looking back, I'd imagine it was the front door. Everything looked and sounded so wonky in those minutes after I woke up.
Okay.
Each passing minute, I felt more and more clear-headed, and moving became easier. I checked Snapchat to see that her account was gone, aka she blocked me. I looked out the front window and saw no cars outside besides my own and the neighbors. And then I realized I never saw the vehicle that she arrived in, or if she even arrived in one. I checked my entire home from top to bottom, checking for anything that could have been stolen. The only items I found missing seemed kind of bizarre at first, but honestly made so much sense soon after. Every last bottle of pills from my house was gone. All my vitamins and supplements, my bottles of Adderall, and even the bottle of Oxy that I had prescribed but never fully used after a surgery, those were in the drawer next to my bed. I noticed a bottle of vodka was taken from my mini fridge in my room too, but other than that, I didn't see anything else that could have been stolen.
Damn, Tracy, so you just a fiend, bro. You just drugged me and mugged me like a fool.
Still, I called the police right then and reported the robbery.
Yeah, some
I
girl
gave the
just jacked
Snapchat
me.
username and explained that I never got her number or knew anything really about her identity minus the name that she gave me, which was Tracy Gibson. The police knocked on my neighbor's door since all of our homes are attached, even though it was like 1 a.m. With me standing next to them, they questioned if he'd seen or heard anything strange, to which he said no, he'd been asleep. After about 20 minutes, the police left. I made sure all of my keys were still in place so as to make sure she couldn't get back in. But other than that, this Tracy person disappeared without a trace.
He really just said Tracy disappeared without a trace.
I knew her behavior was quirky and wonky from the first few minutes of meeting her, and it makes so much sense now. I won't even call it a theory because I just know this is the truth. I think that girl, or woman I should say, was older than she claimed, and she was potentially homeless with a serious drug addiction. I think she drowned herself in perfume to mask the body odor that was honestly still showing through. She laced my wine with something when I was in the attic, clearly. I don't know exactly how long I was out, but it was enough for her to scour my entire home for any and all drugs and supplements.
Tracy, you homeless? How do you have Snapchat?
I still remember how disturbing of an image it was seeing her tall silhouette standing in front of me while I was just waking up on the couch. Honestly, after this, I didn't even decorate the tree that year.
With a Kaiser Permanente Medicare.
Who are
Medical
you?
Health Plan,
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Alright, we're already done with the first story, bro. Let's just be honest. None of these are gonna scare me. None of these are gonna scare me, alright?
This happened on Christmas Eve back in '97 when I was 7 years old. Since we're Jewish, we don't celebrate Christmas, so Christmas Eve was just like any other night for us. Our dad is a doctor, and since he's Jewish, he always works on call at the hospital during the Christmas holidays, so he wasn't home tonight. That just left my little sister and I by ourselves for the evening while our dad worked. Technically, our mom was home, but to be blunt, she was an alcoholic. Back then, being a 7-year-old, I had no idea what alcoholism was. All I knew was that my mom was always passed out once it got dark and near impossible to wake up when we heard a knock at the door. Being the oldest, I went to see who it was.
I'll handle
Our door
it.
had glass panes built into it, which made it easy to see who was on the other side. There was a man standing outside in a Santa suit holding a bag, and when he saw me, he smiled and waved at me to come to the door.
Hi,
I went near the
Santa.
door but did not open it, and I thought it was odd that someone dressed like Santa would come to our house out of anyone's house in the neighborhood. He said, "Hey kid, it's me Santa. Let me in, I'll give you your presents."
Wait, it all depends what the person looks like, bro. If the Santa looks like this, ain't no way I'm letting him in. But if the Santa look like this... Oh, shit, for real, bro? You can come right on in, girl.
I remember point blank telling him that Santa isn't real, and that if he was, he doesn't give Jews presents anyway. That's when he said, "Of course I'm real." In the past, I only used to visit Christian homes, but lately, I felt bad that Jewish kids never get any presents. So this year, I changed the rules so that you can get presents too. But I didn't buy it, and instead, I remember getting mad at him, arguing that Jews get presents. We just get them during Hanukkah and not on Christmas. The smile fell from his face, and all his jolly charm disappeared as he began demanding I open the door. I told my sister to dial 911.
Yo,
The guy
dial
seemed to run away.
911.
We did call the cops. However, unfortunately, the operator didn't understand what we were saying. Looking back, I think she may have thought we were just little kids excited that Santa Claus was coming to our house. Regardless, she didn't take us seriously, and instead just told us that this number was to be used for emergencies only before disconnecting the call. My sister and I now got really scared because we didn't know who else to call. Since we were only 4 and 7, the only numbers we knew how to dial were our home number and 911. And since this is the 90s, my dad didn't have a cell phone yet, and I had no idea what the hospital number was to reach him there. And with our mom impossible for us to wake up, we were essentially on our own. We hoped the man wouldn't come back, but a few minutes later, he was knocking on the door again.
He's back,
He said he
bro.
knew the cops weren't coming, and to go ahead and let him in, or we'd be in big trouble.
Go
My sister
away.
started crying and ran upstairs trying to wake my mom. Not knowing what else to do, I did the one thing that made sense to my 7-year-old brain.
Don't open it, bro.
Grabbed a bunch of candles we keep for our menorah and lit them all, then ran below where the smoke detector was. I blew out all the candles quickly before tossing them all up to the smoke detector. Thankfully, they gave off enough smoke to set off the smoke alarm. As an adult, I realized how stupid this was, and fortunately, I did not accidentally set the house on fire. But at that time, all I knew was that the smoke alarm would instantly call 911 for me and send help to our home. There was a fire department not even 2 minutes from our house, so they got here pretty fast. My sister came downstairs, scared of the fire alarm, but I told her there was no fire and to not go outside, but instead wait inside with me. To my amazement, the guy still did not leave.
Bro,
Instead,
go
the bastard
away.
ran to the firefighters, presumably telling them that he was glad they showed up. I remember that he claimed he was my dad, and that he dressed up like Santa Claus for Christmas Eve to surprise us. He explained that his suit didn't have any pockets to hold his keys, and that with the door locked, he couldn't get the door open to save us from the fire, so he begged the firefighters to break down the door, and surprisingly, the firefighters seemed to believe him. They were actually getting ready to break down the door, and told us to stand back, but we started crying, shouting at them that he's not our dad.
Don't
Dad was working
open
at
the
hospital,
door.
and we have no idea who
Don't
this guy was.
open
and that we
the
don't even
door.
celebrate Christmas.
Plot twist, it's actually their dad.
The firefighter who was about to break down the door thankfully stopped and listened to us. He asked, "You don't celebrate Christmas?" I told him no because we're Jewish, and showed him my kippah on my head as well as our menorah. I then broke down crying, explaining how I set off the smoke alarm to try and get help because the police wouldn't believe us, and to please not let the guy in. The firefighter thankfully believed me, and then asked the guy why Santa would show up to a Jewish home. I don't remember exactly what the guy said, but the firefighters clearly didn't believe him. Two of them wrestled the guy to the ground while the other called the police to come by.
Yes,
They
sir!
also
Jump
asked
his
what
ass!
hospital my dad
Jump
worked at
his
so they could let
ass!
him know what was
Get
going
him!
on.
Yes, sir!
The
Yes,
police
sir!
arrived and arrested the guy, while another officer stayed with us until my dad came home and explained the situation to him. My dad was furious with our mom for being wasted and essentially sleeping through the whole thing, but mostly he was grateful that we were okay. As far as Christmases go, I was glad to have our usual boring and quiet Christmas the following year. To this day, I think being Jewish saved my sister and I's lives, because had we opened that door to let Santa in, there's a good chance that would have been our final Christmas.
Oh shit, for real, bro? You can come right on in, girl.
The house was surrounded by wood.
You know, looking at this, bro, this is just a PNG with some snow effects, bro. I could easily make one of these stories, bro. Actually, hold on. Let me try. Once upon a time. No, I can't start it with once upon a time, bro. What is this, a fairy tale? Hold on. Back when I was like 13 or something, my family always used to celebrate Christmas in a specific order. First, we would open stockings. Then, we would decorate cookies. And then after all that, I was supposed to go to sleep early, otherwise Santa wouldn't come. At least, that's what my parents told me. But that year, things were different. I wasn't gonna go to sleep. I was gonna stay up late and see Santa in the flesh. I really wanted to see him. So I pretended to sleep, and my parents tucked me in goodnight. I passed the time by reading books underneath my sheet with a flashlight. But after a couple hours passed, I heard it. Santa's footsteps on my rooftop. I sneakily got out of bed and slowly opened my door. My house was pitch dark. It was hard to see past my door, so I brought my flashlight and crept through the halls, careful not to frighten Santa while he placed my presents under the tree. But once I made it to the living room, I didn't see Santa's fat ass bent over placing some presents down underneath the tree. I saw some bad bitch in some sexy Christmas outfit laying down on my couch. Damn! I said.
To be continued. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Alright, coming up next, we have a scary story from MJV Animations. Shout out MJV. Let's just watch this video.
Christmas of 2019 was the year me and my two best friends, Mark and Tyler, decided to rent a cabin instead of doing the usual family stuff. We got there on Christmas Eve, bringing tons of food, snacks, and beer. And Mark even brought over his Xbox.
Yes, sir, bro.
So we drank and played video games until 2 in the morning. It wasn't exactly a Hallmark holiday, but it was definitely fun.
That's how I want to spend my holiday.
By the time we all went to our rooms to go to bed, I passed out almost immediately. The place was freezing, and the cabin creaked like every other old wooden building. But I was tired enough that none of it mattered. At least until I woke up. It was probably 3 or 4 in the morning, still pitch black outside. I didn't know what time it was exactly.
This bright ass
I knew
light,
I'd been
bro.
asleep for a while, and that something woke me up. Soft, slow footsteps from the main living area. Not walking normally, more like someone taking careful steps, trying not to wake anyone.
My twin. It's just your friend, bro. It's just Michael. Or what are the names he said at the start?
My two best friends, Mark and Tyler, steps down the hall.
It's just Tyler, twin. He's just waking up trying to take a piss, bro. Stop trying to build some suspense like something is happening.
or
Go
to the
back to
bathroom
sleep.
door.
Go back to sleep, bro.
The cabin settled back into silence. I rolled over and fell asleep again. When I finally got up in the morning, sunlight was coming in through the big living room windows, and the guys were already in the living room. First thing I did was jokingly ask who was creeping around at 4 in the morning. I expected some stupid answer from one of them about losing their phone while drunk or something. I don't know. But both of them gave me the exact same confused look.
Bro, if you don't shut the fuck up.
Mark said, "Dude, we all went to bed at 2. And Tyler shook his head, saying he didn't get up once. I laughed it off at first. I figured maybe I'd imagined it, or dreamed the sound and mistaken it as real. But then I glanced over toward the front door. The lock was undone. Not just the deadbolt, the handle lock too, fully unlocked.
What, bro? How to die in a horror movie, bro. Top 10 ways to die in a horror movie. Number 1. This. My brothers.
The door was still shut, but the locks weren't turned. I asked if either of them had gone outside this morning. They both said no, and when I pointed out the door, I saw both of their faces fall flat, as we all kind of realized I might have actually heard someone last night. I mean, we were all fairly sure that we had locked the door. But after a minute of thinking about it, Tyler said maybe the wind shook it loose, or maybe the old...
Way to go, Tyler. That's probably what happened, bro. That's probably what happened.
Thinking about it, Tyler said maybe the wind shook it loose, or maybe the old door just didn't latch right.
That is completely reasonable. Maybe the door just didn't work. You know, it's an old cabin. It's an old cabin. It's windy outside. Maybe the wind just blew it open. And you're just imagining the footsteps, dog.
We were all in the living room, playing some dumb party game on the Xbox.
Monkey ball!
Laughing and yelling at each other.
That's not monkey
And
ball.
every so
Bro,
often,
you're fucking stupid.
I'd catch myself glancing toward the window. I hadn't noticed it much before, but now the blackness outside felt too close. Like someone standing just a few feet back could watch us clearly, while we'd never see them. I knew during the day there were some trees just outside of that window, like literally 10 feet away. And
Yo,
yet,
who's
it
out
was
there?
Too dark to even see that.
Who is out there?
I didn't want to mention the bad feeling I had because I didn't want to kill the mood, especially when I really didn't have a reason to feel the way I did. I never actually saw anything. Because we had stayed up so late last night, we only stayed up until around 12 a.m. when Mark decided to head to bed early. Me and Tyler stayed in the living room.
Yo, what is happening to my shirt, bro? Watch this. It could just fall apart like this? Now I have a MF.
I laid in bed, awake for a while. Hard to tell the
Shit,
time
bro.
just sitting
I'm
there,
tired too,
but it
bro.
felt like an hour-ish.
Let me go to sleep.
There were no curtains or blinds, so the window next to my bed made me feel really uneasy. And then I heard it again. The soft, quiet footsteps at the front of the cabin in the living room. I sat up and listened as intently as I could. I knew this time that it wasn't one of my friends, because I would have heard them leave their rooms and walk down the hallway. So really, I was just listening to see if it was just the house creaking, or if it was actually a person. And after a while of listening, I was absolutely sure that what I was hearing were footsteps. And with whoever it was just pacing around the room, I finally decided to get up and maybe try confronting them. But as I walked over to the bedroom door, suddenly the footsteps moved from the living room to the hallway. They got closer and closer, walking all the way down, passing by my door, and going toward what I think was Mark's room.
No,
And
Mark!
then it was quiet. I didn't hear anything for several long seconds. I very quietly grabbed the door handle and pushed my door open just slightly enough to peek out into the hallway, not making a sound. I saw a large man. I mean, like maybe 6'5" or taller, with long hair and a
Damn!
thick beard. He was standing still,
Santa? Is it you?
facing Mark's bedroom door, and just standing there motionless in the dark. I didn't risk looking for too long and moved away, but left the door cracked open still because I didn't want it to make a click sound if I closed it. And at this point, I didn't know what to do. I froze up, unsure how to get us out of this situation. But just 20 seconds later, I heard a slight creak in the hallway, and before I could even react, my door was suddenly pushed open. The man stood in the doorway, staring at me with wide open eyes and an emotionless face. I yelled at the top of my lungs, and the dude didn't even flinch. Before I knew it, Mark and Tyler came running out of their rooms, and I couldn't see much, but Tyler immediately saw the guy and tried to stop him.
Tyler!
But this dude was huge.
Tyler, bro. Don't do this, bro. Don't get. Oh my god, get out of here, bro. Tyler, when you see an intruder in your home, bro. Sorry. Get the fuck out of my house.
And basically just slammed Tyler against the wall and threw him to the floor. And Mark was probably just frozen still after seeing that. But then the guy ran off. Didn't try fighting all of us. He just took off out of the cabin, and from what we could tell, into the forest. We quickly locked up the place and called the police. It took over 20 minutes, and the whole time we were anticipating the man coming back. All of us were holding whatever temporary weapons we could find, like kitchen knives and the iron fireplace rod. But he didn't come back. Really, we got no answers, and most of the situation fell onto the owner of the cabin, as he was the one who had his cabin broken into. What that man wanted from us or from the cabin, we don't know. From our few theories though, the one that stands out to me is that he might have been there looking for the owner and not knowing it was a rental. It would explain him staring at me and seeing all of us and not really bothering with doing anything afterward. But again, it really is just a theory. He just as likely could have been there to
A game theory. Thank you for watching.
harm us, and just saw it was 3 people and decided to run.
Open a whole new world.
Alright, guys. That's gonna be all for tonight. My grandma just yelled at me because I was being way too loud. I love you all. Make sure to like and subscribe. And have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Gather all the friends you know. Have a holly jolly Christmas this year. Mwah, mwah, mwah.